This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, 212th Trooper, Sylar 1610, Rune Scribble, and Legendary Ray Ray. As you know, partnership is a core theme of the Pokemon franchise. That's why I'm excited to announce that BetterHelp is the paid partner of this video. BetterHelp is a service dedicated to matching you with the right therapist for you and your needs, since starting therapy can be daunting. However, once you get over that hurdle, it can also be massively beneficial, helping you sort through stuff that's on your mind, and even stuff you didn't realize was bothering you, be it day-to-day life worries or something bigger. To put it in a Pokemon context, BetterHelp is like the episode Charizard Chills, where Ash helps Charizard sort through its issues with Damien and how that's affected its outlook and attitude since evolving. Now, think how much better things would have been for Charizard if it knew it had someone it could talk to about that stuff earlier on. Now there's a what-if idea right there. However, you don't have to ask what if when it comes to yourself, since BetterHelp has made it convenient to connect with a credentialed therapist. All you need to do is click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/pickleddill. That's betterhelp.com/pickleddill with 2 Ds and 2 thumbs up from me, since by using my link you'll also get 10% off your first month of therapy. But with that said, let's get on to the story. Following Lucario's departure, time passes, with Ash beginning a new journey, this time through the Unova Region. For the most part, events transpire like canon, aside from a few instances where his aura powers prove useful, such as being able to sense Tepig's fading life force and finding it sooner at the Battle Club, or using his aura to calm the forces of nature on Milo Silent. However, things do start to change following the end of the Pokemon World Tournament Junior Cup, when Ash and his friends Iris and Silent meet a boy named Cameron who travels alongside a Riolu. Due to being excitable and good-natured, he and Ash quickly hit it off, though unfortunately Cameron does possess one major flaw, as he is, to use the technical term, a doofus, believing only 7 badges are needed to compete in the Unova League, which he bafflingly thinks is held in the Johto region. Recognizing a rookie in need of guidance and being reminded of Lucario's own mentorship due to the presence of Riolu, Ash decides to take the bandana-clad boy under his wing, inviting him to join him and his friends and promising they'll help him find a gym where he can get his final badge before the league, an offer Cameron leaps at as he's never travelled with friends before. To this end, the group then set off for Humalao City, with Ash and Cameron getting separated from their friends like in canon due to the depth of their conversation, though thanks to Ash's aura sense detecting danger, they do manage not to fall off a cliff, allowing them to double back the way they came, with Ash showing off some of his additional aura powers by locating both their companions and the distant mass of people that must be the city, so that they're able to arrive there significantly earlier than in canon, and without getting rained on. During this journey, they continue to talk, since among other things, Ash is eager to learn about the other boy's Riolu, while also sharing stories of his time with Lucario, which Cameron finds awesome, wondering if maybe the close bond he has with Riolu is some kind of aura connection. Seeing no reason it couldn't be, Ash begins teaching Cameron and Riolu the basics of reaching out with their auras, a difficult task, as unlike Ash who carries a strong aura reminiscent of Sir Aaron, Cameron's is fairly average, though he does have a rather bizarre secret weapon, as by smacking his forehead with his own headband, he is able to immediately calm his mind and focus, allowing him to reach the mental state that Lucario had to spend weeks getting Ash to achieve. This in turn skyrockets his progress, as once he reaches that state of zen, he admits to feeling something, even if it's only faint, with Ash encouraging this as he continues to guide the boy until they reach the city. Though even this small progress is a monumental impact, as being the voice of reason in their partnership, Riolu is able to stop Cameron from leaving it on the dock when he heads into the water to face Marlin, meaning the boy is able to use his partner in the final clash and win his 8th badge more cleanly. Recognizing the value of this aura stuff, Cameron requests to continue working with Ash, since that way he and Riolu can strengthen their bond while the two of them can train for the Virtuous Conference, an offer Ash is more than happy to accept, so that instead of a trio, it is a team of 4 who return to Cynthia's villa that night. Upon learning that Ash is training the Bandana Boy as an aura guardian, Cynthia is naturally intrigued, since while she is familiar with the group, she's never actually seen their teaching methods up close, while Cameron in turn is wowed since his dream is to be a Pokemon League champion and now he's staying with one. Over the next few days, Ash sets to work giving Cameron a crash course on aura, starting by honing his ability to sense Riolu, as well as to recognize its aura amidst others, with the pair doing this by having their Pokemon spar while Cameron has to keep track of Riolu. This serves as good training for the league as well, with the pair quickly developing a different dynamic from Ash and Lucario, as well the Cantonian boy and the Aura Hound had something of a sensei-student relationship that grew into a strong partnership. Ash and Cameron quickly establish more of a big brother-little brother rapport, as Ash teaches Cameron the ropes, while Cameron's carefree attitude keeps their practice fun and Ash on his toes. auras. Even Meloetta helps out, since once Cameron's gotten the hang of sensing individual auras, she plays hide and seek with the boys, going invisible and forcing them to find her without sight. Unfortunately, it is not all fun and games, as while Ash is able to demonstrate practical skills that Cameron can copy, he struggles more with teaching the metaphysical aspect, as it's very different training a person and training a Pokemon. Fortunately, here Cynthia is able to help, as one evening a few days into their practice, she invites Ash to use her video phone, where a very familiar pair are waiting on the screen, Riley and Lucario. Face splitting in a wide grin, Ash questions how his old friend and companion is, with the fighting steel type resolutely revealing that things are going well with the Aura Guardians, before chuckling that it seems Ash has found himself with a brash, hot-headed young student of his own. Nodding, Ash seeks his former teacher's advice on how to guide Cameron, since he's never done anything like this before, to which Lucario explains that in its experience, the best thing to do is to show them the basics, then stand by their side and give them room to prove themselves, since Ash always demonstrated the most growth in moments where he was needed and could help someone. If this Cameron boy is as much like him as Cynthia said, then such an opportunity will allow him to flourish into a worthy Aura Guardian, just like his teacher. Fortunately for Ash and Cameron, and less fortunately for everyone else, such an opportunity arises not long after this, as Team Rocket initiate Operation Tempest in an attempt to capture Meloetta just when her human protector Ridley arrives to take her home. Knowing this cannot happen until the villains are defeated, Ridley entrusts the mythical Pokemon to the boys, with them combining their aura abilities to try and avoid further ambushes by sensing out danger. This immediately reveals the presence of Giovanni and his Persian who are inbound, and knowing that they can't outrun him at their current speed, they stand and fight with Pikachu and Riolu. Together they are able to put up a decent fight against the Rocket Boss, as Pikachu creates openings for Riolu to strike with super effective attacks. However, this is Giovanni they're dealing with, and seeing that he isn't going to win this through conventional power, he has his helicopter descend and trap the boys and their Pokemon in an energy cube, while giving Meloetta an ultimatum: surrender herself to him, or he will shrink this cube until her little friends are crushed into oblivion. Urgently, Ash and Cameron tell the Mythical to run, promising they'll be fine, though knowing they're just trying to protect her, Meloetta relents, allowing herself to be captured in a similar cube, as they are all loaded into a submarine bound for the Abyssal Ruins. In an attempt to think of a way out of this, Ash tries to use this time to meditate like Lucario taught him, though evidently Cameron is having none of that, pacing and smacking himself with his headband since this is his first time being captured by Team Rocket. Though this is not just pure restlessness, as through this he has an idea and so turns to Ash, confirming with him that this cage is made of energy, right? Nodding, the Raven-haired youth agrees that it is, with Cameron elaborating that aura is also energy. So what if they push their aura into the cage and kinda beat it like a type matchup? You know, maybe life energy is super effective against weird robot energy. Smiling widely, Ash calls that a great idea, though since this will require a lot of control, he probably will have to be the one to do it, with Cameron grinning that he and Riolu will back him up. Together the boys then set about their work, with Ash remaining seated and laying his hands on the cage, while Cameron and Riolu each lay a hand or paw on his back. Then, as one, they channel their auras and release it into the energy cube. For a moment, this seems to work just as Cameron had hoped, though Team Rocket's tech is not to be underestimated, as after a brief moment of flickering, the cube restabilizes. Letting out a sigh, the bandana-clad boy curses the stupid box, though remaining calm, Ash points out that it almost worked, so if they really pull together, they should be able to overpower the cube's energy. Seeing Ash's point, Cameron slaps his forehead once again to steady himself, then looking Riolu squarely in the eye, he asks it to help him out once more, since he really needs his buddy for this one. Nodding resolutely, Riolu mirrors him, with the pair reaching deep inside themselves to tap into their aura reserves. However, this is not the only reserve Riolu reaches into, as seeing how hard Cameron has been working and how much success means to him, it puts everything it has into supporting him and his plan, so that as aura flows through it and into Ash, white light erupts around it. In an instant, two things happen. First, the cage shorts out as aura does indeed beat artificial energy, and secondly, a proud Lucario rises where Riolu once stood. Letting out a cheer of pure joy, Cameron hugs his partner, calling it the greatest, while Ash too thanks Lucario for sharing its energy, with the trio then repeating the feat to destroy Meloetta's cage too, freeing them up to make their escape. Though, considering they're underwater, they decide to put their hide-and-seek practice to the test, stowing away in the hidden parts of the sub and then jumping out when they sense a Team Rocket member passing by. As Ash's Lucario had suggested, this moment of need serves as just the sort of push Cameron requires, with him even sensing one enemy before Ash, even if his aura sight is still not as attuned or ranged as his friends. ruins. Thanks to this, they're able to take out most of the grunts covertly, so that when they arrive at the submerged ruins, it is Ash and Cameron's turn to ambush Giovanni, with the crime boss's Persian clashing once more against Pikachu and Lucario. Without any dirty tricks to pull, this battle quickly turns against Giovanni. Though, never being the sort to go down with the ship, the rocket leader abandons Operation Tempest so that he might live to fight another day, escaping in a small self-contained sub while leaving Ash, Cameron and their Pokemon to drown. Fortunately, Ash's Oshawott and Cameron's Samurott are able to get them to the surface before they run out of breath, just in time for Cynthia, Ridley and the boys' friends to find them and return to land, feeling glad that they and Meloetta are safe, though concerned that Giovanni and other members of Team Rocket managed to get away scot-free, and they may attempt a similar scheme down the line. In a tone of deep solemnity, Ridley assures them that he won't let that happen, with he and Meloetta departing for parts unknown where they are sure the villains will never find them. As for Ash, Cameron and their friends, they also say goodbye to Cynthia, as it's time to start making their way to the Virtuous Conference. Along the way, Ash, Cameron and Lucario continue their aura training, with them now moving on to sensing wild Pokemon, which is helpful since a few days into the trek, Ash learns that Cameron believes a full battle is only 5 Pokemon, and so helps him catch a Watchog to round out his team. Additionally, Cameron gets a chance to work on his aura coordination with Lucario when the Flower Garden troop disrespects them, and so the gang infiltrate their headquarters to show them the cost of their rudeness. As they have a no boys allowed rule, the gang adopt disguises and introduce themselves as Ashley, Silenor, and Cameron. Though fortunately the bandana-clad boy's gender-neutral name saves him when he forgets to change it. Luckily, one thing he does not forget is what he and Ash have worked on, as thanks to their growing aura bond, Cameron and Lucario are able to maintain their balance long enough to kick Cher and Roserade's butts, even if their subsequent cheers and boisterous hug are deemed terribly uncouth by the troop leader Moira. This in turn frees Ash and Pikachu up to make short work of Mona's Lilligant, so that Iris and Ash's Snivy can handle Moira and Cinccino, allowing them to get payback for the previous disrespect and teach the haughty trio a lesson. Following this, the team encounter a pair of boys called Rocco and Soren, who claim to be experts in double battling, and upon learning that Ash and Cameron each have 8 badges, challenge them to a battle. To their credit, the duo are an effective team, showing off several high-level combo moves, though Ash and Cameron are no slouches either, showing how well they have come to know each other during their training and how strong their bond has become, so that it is they who emerge victorious, with Ash having to admit that Cameron's strategic thinking in battle has gotten a lot better, with even Iris admitting that he's not as much of a little kid anymore. And speaking of Iris, the next stop is her home, the Village of Dragons, where she challenges her mentor Drayden, giving Ash and Cameron plenty of time to train, before returning to the road where they meet a boy named Virgil who is also on his way to the league along with his family of Pokemon rescue rangers. Remembering Lucario's habit of helping rangers since they're reminded of the Aura Guardians, Ash agrees to assist Virgil in dealing with a group of rampaging Cryogonal, with the group heading to a dam where Ash and Cameron both sense another Cryogonal trapped deep within. Figuring this must be what has the ice type so upset, the boys and their Pokemon descend deeper in while Virgil and their friends hold off the Cryogonal long enough for Ash and Cameron to rescue the trapped one, ending the dispute peacefully and allowing them to get back on the road sooner than in canon. As a result, it is not long before they reach Virtuous City, which is the home of the Virtuous Conference, and after getting registered, something Cameron didn't know he had to do, the two competitors settle in for some final training before the start of the league. With it comes a slight sense of foreboding, as from here on out, they could be forced to battle each other at any point of the tournament. Though refusing to let this get them down, the pair instead share a fist bump, promising that if they do have to face off, they'll each give it their best, and no matter the outcome, they'll stay pals. A few days later, this vow is put to the test, as after defeating their first several foes with more ease than canon thanks to the extra training they got with each other, Ash and Cameron are paired up in the top 8. Remembering their promise, both come out swinging when the time to battle begins, with Ash choosing Unpheasant against Cameron's new Watchog. Showing that he indeed learned some strategy during his time as the Cantonian's protege, the Bandana Boy tries to use Thunderbolts reminiscent of Pikachu's to corral the normal flyer into staring at a Confuse Ray, though unfortunately Ash is quicker, having Unpheasant dive bomb Watchog with its eyes closed, so that when the dust settles, Ash is the first knockout. In response, Cameron fights fire with fire, bringing out Swanna, who does manage to take out Unpheasant but falls to Oshawott, who has had enough time with Cameron's Samurott to grow as a water type. Figuring Cameron will be drawn to the mirror match, Ash next expects Samurott, though recognizing he's in a dire position, Cameron actually picks his defensive war with a type advantage, Ferrothorn, a wise move that nets him another win, so they're back on an even keel. Though this does not last long, as with a quad weakness to fire, Pignite makes short work of Ferrothorn, meaning Cameron's down to half a team. However, this is what Cameron's secret weapon is for, and while it is no secret to Ash, having travelled with and trained alongside this Pokemon for weeks, Hydreigon is still a considerable threat, defeating Pignite and Boldore before Snivy steps in, dodging Hydreigon's attacks with nimble footwork, and then using a track to befuddle the dragon. This in turn leaves it vulnerable to a follow-up attack from the Grass Starter, and having battled both Pignite and Boldore already, it is here that Hydreigon falls. In its place comes Samurott, and while Silent and Iris do wonder if this is Cameron's boneheadedness shining through, since this is a clearly bad matchup, when Leaf Blade clashes with Razor Shell, it is the formidable Pokemon who prevails, bringing Ash down to his final partner in Pikachu. Though this unevenness is not felt for long, as showing why he is Ash's most trusted companion, the electric rodent deftly downs the fully evolved water type, taking only a couple of hits for his trouble, so that now Cameron must call out Lucario. This is the match both boys have been waiting for, as all their time together has been building to this. As promised, neither hold anything back, with our opening salvo being a clash of Force Palms against Iron Tails, only for both to fall back and switch to Aura Sphere and Electro Ball, showing just how well they've come to know each other in their battling styles. When this ends inconclusively, Ash next goes for Quick Attack, while showing off its signature copycat, Lucario mimics this, so the two speeding blurs collide in the center of the field, neither willing to give an inch. This quickly becomes the way of things, as while one may briefly gain the advantage, the other is quick to close the gap, bringing things back into a stalemate and forcing their rival to go higher and higher. As this happens, both Ash and Cameron have matching smiles on their faces, clearly having the time of their lives in spite of the steep competitive pressure pressing down on both of them. However, even fun times must end eventually, as following another up-close physical clash, both Pikachu and Lucario are exhausted, forcing their trainers to put all their faith in a final risky play, Electro Ball and Aura Sphere at point-blank range. Respecting their trainers too much to let them down, the two Pokemon obey, manifesting orbs of energy and swinging them at their rival who in their present state is too depleted to dodge. As a result, when the smoke clears, both are lying face down on the ground, seemingly signifying a double knockout. That is, until Cameron reaches out, not physically, but through his aura, as he wordlessly urges his buddy to get back up. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, as though something has given it a small burst of energy, Lucario opens its eyes and staggers to its feet, giving the win to Cameron. In spite of this loss, Ash has nothing but praise for his surrogate little brother as the pair shake hands, with the Cantonian complimenting his use of aura and strategy in particular. Likewise, Cameron thanks the other boy who has been a mentor and a friend, while lightheartedly teasing that he bets Ash wishes he'd let him go off to Johto now. Wanting to support their friend, Ash, Iris, and Silent decide to stick around, cheering Cameron on the following day as he faces and defeats Virgil, putting him in the finals, where he and Lucario's aura bond allowed them to pull off yet another win, making the former rookie into the Virtuous Conference winner. Naturally, Ash feels a lot of pride in his friend who is overjoyed at this win, as it brings him one step closer to his dream of being a champion, though unfortunately, he cannot stay to watch Cameron take on the Elite Four and older, as the road calls to him once more. Nonetheless, before they part, he and Cameron share one last fist bump, as the bandana-clad boy declares that he will never forget everything Ash has done for him, and that he and Lucario will proudly carry on the legacy of aura he has imparted to them. In turn, Ash promises that someday the two of them will meet up again for a rematch, so they can both put their aura skills to the test, an offer Cameron is happy to accept, though he does laughingly demand that Ash better win his next league, since he can't have his rival falling behind. Then, with broad smiles on their faces, the two friends part, eager to embrace their next adventures. And that's where we'll leave things. What new challenges await Ash now that he has proven himself both as an Aura Guardian and a mentor? How will Cameron fare in his Champion League run? And can Ash claim a league victory of his own in Kalos? Find out as the journey continues.